Hello, hello, and welcome back to The Calling, The Forgotten Files. My name is Shannon, your host, along with Jennifer Lee. Jennifer, how are you doing?
I'm good. I would ask how you are, but I know you're not feeling super great. So I already know
No,
the answer to that.
I have the flu. I found out today. So I threw some makeup on and said, you know what? I'm going to do it, but I may not talk as much tonight. I'm just going to try to produce a little bit more on this end, and I still got to share it out to the page real quick. But Jen's going to really help out tonight and do most of the talking. I might just throw in my 2 cents whenever I feel like I want to. All right. So let's see. We have a good guest today, Greg Bakun. Greg Bakun is going to talk about some ITC and connecting to spirit. We're going to do some sessions with some spirit boxes and listen to some of his recorded, ITC sessions. Sorry, I'm not feeling too good. We're going to go over that and have some really interesting conversations about connecting with spirits, using devices and everything. So I'm going to let Jen kind of take it over, and we're going to bring Greg in real quick.
Hello.
Hello.
Okay.
Hi.
I'm going to let you, I have a list here of Facebook pages, your radio host, and all of that stuff, but I'm going to let you do that. So I don't leave anything out.
No, thank you. If anyone wants to see what we're up to, we do a lot of paranormal events and other things, some locally to the Minnesota area, but go on the ticker on the bottom. It's MN Ghost Box. Check us out. And I also do Sunday nights. I do live spirit box sessions where we reach out to loved ones. We try to at least reach out to people's loved ones and whatnot. And on Tuesdays when I do them, we do the we try to reach out to someone that's not a relative, like someone maybe that's part of history or something. It's like we call it experimental sessions, because what we're trying to do is we're trying to see if we are able to reach out. Like if I want someone to come to me, can I reach out and ask them to come through? Do we get a voice? What do we get from that? So that's kind of what we do with that. That includes like aliens. We'll do that with aliens on occasion. Every Sunday afternoon at 4:06 p.m. Central Standard Time, we do Ghost Box Radio, and that is aired on AM 950, but we also simulcast it on a bunch of networks, including MN Ghost Box. And Miss Jennifer Lee was just on last Sunday to do one question readings. I hope you enjoyed it. If you didn't, I did. I don't want to know if you didn't enjoy it. Hi, Joe. And then also Shannon is going to be on February 18th, and we're going to be talking about a lot of great things. So it's always fun. It's a lot of fun. So yeah, and thank you very much for inviting me on tonight. This is great.
I'm more than glad to have you. Again, guys, I'm going to be a little quiet here because I'm sick, but again, glad to have you. I'm excited to hear everything that we do tonight, and we already have a lot of activity in the chat feed. So thank you guys for being interactive with us. And so, Greg, when did you get involved with working with ITC or trying to connect with spirit? What got you involved in that?
It was just this last Monday I turned on a radio. No, it was I've been doing this for about 13 years, and actually, funny enough, a lot of us are kind of down on certain shows these days, but what got me into it is watching some of the shows and seeing, well, if in fact Spirit Box can do what I'm seeing on these shows, I'm very interested in it, in some sort of like real-time communication. And so we worked at a building that was built in 1916. I had a friend who was also involved, wanted to try these things out. And so we went to that super crazy paranormal store called Amazon, and I bought a spirit box there. In fact, the one we're using. And we tried it, and we're down in the basement because it has to be a creepy basement, of course, right? We can't go anywhere other than the creepiest places.
I love basements.
Spirits will not talk to us unless it's a creepy location, right? And we turned it on. It's like, is there somebody here? Can we get your name, please? And the first thing that came out was this voice that just said, Nate. And we're like, oh, so, wow, okay. Can we have your last name, please? And it's Lund. And so we started to get like questions answered immediately, and we went upstairs where it's not quite as creepy. But it's an advertising agency, so it's creepy in its own way. And we were up in this room that we heard people had incidents up there. Whole building is pretty active. And I just said, my name is Greg. This is Jeff. Can you say Greg? Can you say Jeff? And I mean, all this is recorded, and it's a voice come through, Greg, Jeff. And this was day one. This is the very first night that either of us had done anything with it. And so it was, right away, it was very much like, okay, you got my attention. I'm interested. We didn't have the external speakers or anything. I set up a camera in the hallway to get activity, to see light anomaly and stuff. But I was too stupid to understand it needed to be a night vision camera and needed like a light, an infrared light. So I just had a camera in this dark hallway with no light whatsoever. And that was what we thought we were going to get stuff. And I mean, thank goodness there was no one else in the building just like walking around and tripping over cameras and stuff. So, I mean, it was, it's just like such a learning experience, but right away, I mean, both Jeff and myself, we were just very much like, wow, this is pretty cool. And it just immediately is like, I need to do more. I need to also see if I can continue to get more communication using Spirit Box. So yeah, it was really cool.
And yeah, that's amazing. The first time that you tried it and you got all of those responses.
Absolutely. And what Annette's talking about there, when I do my Spirit Box sessions on Sunday and Tuesdays, I have a second camera that's on another table, that's looking at another table. It has a bunch of different equipment out there that we invite Spirit to use, such as a REM pod, other things, and often we'll get activity on there. But then I also have a bell that's suspended. And it's not unknown for the bell to move by itself, not enough to ring, but to move. And I just did a few events in October, November, and I took the bell with me and I never returned it to the table yet. And it's a sore point with certain people. And they I could fake my own death and they'll find me to remind me to put the bell
to put the bell
on the
back.
Table. Yes, put the bell on the damn table. So yeah.
So Annette had another comment as well. I've lost it up there in the feed, but she said that you had contacted her family.
Yes.
For her. And so that brings me to a question. Do you do private sessions like this? Or is that just on? Oh, you do. Okay.
I do. This wasn't a private session. This was just on Sunday nights. What I'll do is I will just take, like, it's kind of open mic. If you want me to try to reach out to someone, there's no guarantee. I never put a guarantee to response, but let's try it. And I leave it to the folks who ask the question. Now, I've done this at events where people are like, and this happened a couple times this year, where they're like, has it happened? Today is the 12th anniversary of my husband's death or something. And so it's like, well, we can go and try to reach out to Spirit if you like during a break or something. We'll go. And then I rely on them to tell me, did I get them? Because I don't know what they sound like. And we're hoping that they sound like as they did living, that they're responding. So that's the hope. And then, I'll get it. And I mean, at this one at Hotel Josephine, I got, that's right. We did do that. That bell was moving like crazy too. And she wanted her husband, and and we got a couple voices coming through, and I'm like, I don't know if this is him or not. And I look at her and there's a tear going down her cheek. Aww. And it was like, I think we got him. I mean, it just I think that's the side of paranormal I'm moving more towards, and I have been there for a while, but the idea of really helping people, taking what we do and helping them with closure. Because I mean, Jennifer, you get this all the time. Don't you think that the number one concern with loved ones who passed, they just want to know they're okay?
Absolutely. Yes.
That's the number one.
Yes, that's one of the very first questions, that I usually hear is, are they okay?
Yes.
Yeah, and that's huge. And hearing from them and being able to validate that that's actually who we're having this, communication with is huge. It's so huge for people. It's so amazing. So what I'm gathering from what you're telling me is when you do these sessions, it's kind of like, I did a live yesterday. It's just kind of like a mediumship demonstration, right? Just kind of whoever comes in, whoever is asking if you can connect, then you do, because there are never any guarantees in mediumship. Never.
No. And what I tend to do myself, it's, for example, I get a lot of people asking me, is my loved one okay? They're wanting to hear them through the spirit box, but I already know that they're okay. I've been told.
Right.
But that's not going to be good enough. That's not why you turn into Ghost Box Live. You don't tune in for some guy not turning on the box and being like, yeah, no, you're good. No, they said they're fine. That's not what they want.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
They want to hear them be like, yeah, I'm good. If it was up to the people asking, they would love to have like a nonstop conversation. Wouldn't we all? Obviously.
Yes.
Right. But then I'll turn on the box and I will focus on them as best as I can. And I always think of it as like a chain link, and I think of the person asking, and I think of the name of the person who's being requested, and I imagine them being linked.
Right, connecting
them. And then that's when I start to ask, can you please consider coming through? And it's tough because like on certain occasions I've had it where there is a gentleman who doesn't come on anymore. Maybe I scared him away, but he was like, I would love it if my dad could come through, and he didn't come through. And he's just like, well, my dad never really liked me. It's like, no, trust me. That's not what it comes down to. It's, it's never about like someone, I don't think, at least I don't ever think it's about someone not liking you and that they're not coming through. I think there's so many variables.
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
That you just can't. And I know that there's some people are like, oh, okay, well, here comes the excuses, why you can't hear the voices, why you can't do this, why you can't do that. And I understand that. Yeah, we do protection every week for those who want to take it. We do protections, and we also do crossovers. I'll cross over at the end of every Sunday night session for those who want to cross over. And we often identify people during the program who it just doesn't feel like that they're not there yet. They need to cross, or they're not ready to cross, or whatever else, or but it's amazing. The energy from that moment is incredible. It is absolutely. I mean, and I get so many people who are just like, oh my gosh, I can feel it. I can feel it on my end, and that's what I want. I want people to feel it, but I want them to feel it safely. I don't want it to be like I don't ever want to hear anyone say, you can have my energy if it helps you to come through. You never say that, but you can give your intention, and you can feel the benefits of the energy. You can feel like I'm into this. I'm feeling the grace. I mean, when we do, we've done angels a couple times, and I've asked for, can you bestow healing upon us? And the next day I've had someone reach out to me and she said, my head's been hurting for like 3 days, and I woke up this morning, it's not hurting at all. I am not claiming to do miracles, but what I am saying though is I think that you can ask for healing and it can happen.
Oh, absolutely. Because I believe that it's all energy, right?
Exactly. Yep. Everything is energy based. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And our intentions and where we direct that energy is huge. I mean, it's so huge. And so, yeah, it's just another, to me anyway, it just sounds like it's another form of energy healing, which is amazing.
It is. And and that's funny. And that's funny because she'll like send me a note during the radio show and she'll be like, I'd want to call in, but I don't think anyone will like my voice. And she called in and she had like just a perfect voice. It's fine. But and Annette has been very kind and has been a great big supporter. And I know that Pamela's on here, who has also been a great big supporter and of the work that we do. And I really do appreciate that, because it is especially, you all know, it's like when you're doing a lot of lives and stuff, and you're getting people showing up every time, that's a commitment. And that is something that is really, it means a lot when someone gives their time to you, and so that I really do appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. So can you walk us through like a setup to do one of these sessions? What do you set up and how do you start? And I was talking about protection. So I'm just kind of curious, what happens before?
First you order a
large
pizza. You take a bath in chocolate, and it's interesting because one of the things that I find personally is I have to sit and meditate for maybe about at least 5 minutes beforehand. And what I do is I think about, for some reason, it's like that typical what you do when you meditate. You think about like to focus on like the movement of your stomach. You're just like, and I always think to myself, like tonight I'm going to reach out to, everyone's loved ones. I want to connect them. I want to make them happy. I have the equipment over here that's going already. So be like lights will light up when I do that. And I'll have sometimes conversations with whomever prior to going live. And I'll let them know, I am not here to exploit you. I'm here just for communication, because I think that's important, especially when you are trying to reach out to someone like Abraham Lincoln or John Wilkes Booth, and it's so cliched. And that's the thing I always worried about, is like, well, geez, oh, what how silly, reaching out to Abraham Lincoln. We're reaching out to Mary Todd Lincoln. And all of a sudden a voice comes through that actually answers the question I'm answering. Can I say it's Mary Todd Lincoln? We'll probably play that later. We cannot say that's Mary Todd Lincoln. We cannot do that because we don't have any recordings. We just don't know. We can't really do so. But I feel like I know. I feel like and as Pam put into her comment, they know, especially when it's a loved one. So it really comes through. It's very powerful. It's never negative. If we always ask for spirits of love and light to come through, love and above. Even if someone's loved one is not positive, then we don't want them. We don't want them at all. We only want to have positive interaction with spirits. So that's like the 5 to 10 minutes prior to going live. And then and on Things, I used to watch Things Network. I used to watch the guy before me, Suits, who's amazing. He's brilliant, but he's also loud. And I can't watch him anymore because he keeps taking me off my cadence. I'll watch him up until like 10 minutes before. And
Right.
then when I have to actually stop and get back, because he always promotes me. And it's like, well, if you're going to promote me, I should at least take part in whatever else. So because you do need that. You do need that meditation of some kind, whatever that means to you, however that works for you. Because what I'm doing is different than what Jennifer's doing. Just in terms of how we prepare ourselves. At the baseline, it's the same, but how we get there are very different things, and that's something that needs to be respected. When I hold up a box, I'm sure a lot of people, especially if they are into ITC, are going to be like, well, that's just an SB7. This is something you get anywhere. If you're talking about being some kind of ITC specialist, you should clearly have something a lot better. I have about 30 to 40 spirit boxes at home here. And I find when I'm doing stuff where a lot of people are involved, the SB7 is the clearest to get it. Now, other people will be like, well, you don't get as much. I disagree, but that's okay. We can all disagree on a lot of different things.
I love the SB7 over the S box and all that, stuff in this genre. I absolutely do. I don't like the SB7T. I've actually bought one and sold it really cheap. Then I bought another one and donated it to the Ghosty girls when their stuff got stolen.
Oh, nice.
I couldn't find an SB7 at the moment, so I just sent them what I could. But yeah, SB7 is definitely my go-to. And I think out of all the devices I've had, it's pretty durable.
It is.
It's my REM pod. I'm going to have to send it off for the second time because everything keeps falling in on it. Like you can't put foam on top of it in your case because it falls in. It's such a great device, but it's so, it's fragile.
Yep.
Yeah, the SB7, I really, really love it. You can drop it, bang it, abuse it, and misuse it, and it still loves you.
It does. And this is the first generation SB7. I went out to find first generation SB7 because I like the cadence of the suite better than the ones that had come since then.
Right.
I have heard the SB7T have some good responses, but I personally have yet to really use it in a way that I feel like you, Shannon, I feel like really good about it. I haven't felt good about it. I don't feel great about the S box.
The audio is not that good either on the SB7T. It's just not.
No. And so, obviously what you want to do is you want to always have your external speaker on this thing because that's the point. You have the speaker on this is laughable, and it's just funny that the first many times I used it, I just only had the speaker, and then I'm like, oh, you don't just use the speaker, you actually use an external one. But what we do is my form of protection, and I always say to people that they don't have to do protection if they don't want to, because basically what happens is, like, I don't want to force anyone to do anything, but I do say you never know what's going to attach itself to you, especially if they're hungry and they're starving for attention. Doesn't mean they're evil. It just means that they want to, they like you, they like your energy, they like what you're putting out there, even if you don't know what you're putting out there.
They're choosing to communicate with you.
Yeah. And I just want to be as careful to the people who are taking the time to listen to me as possible. And I just basically say that I ask people to make sure that your feet are planted on the ground. Don't just make sure that you're touching. I mean, you should be touching earth, and like not everyone is. They're touching like floor that's a floor up or whatever else. I get it, but just have your feet planted, clear your head a little bit, and just think about your loved ones that have passed, your spirit guides. Think about your heart chakra, and think about just them being there for you, the emitting of their love and their protection. And this is where I start feeling some tingling. I start feeling like I feel like the energy is building up now. And so just like, can just think about your loved ones, think about spirit guides, think about protection, and think about this white light that's starting in the center of your heart. And just allow it to grow. Let it take its time. Let it grow as much as it wants to. But what you ultimately want is this white light is going to be literally your protection. And that's what you want it to do. You want it to cover you. And this is gonna help you, even if we're not looking for spirits of love we are looking for spirits of love and light, but even if we're not looking for, this show took a turn, didn't it? Even if you don't know what I really try to conjure to you.
That's why we had you on. We're gonna question you.
This is where the real Greg comes in. So we're gonna turn this purple light to red in a second here. But no, it's even if you're reaching out to spirits of love and light, you just want to be completely careful. And this is where I always put out the intention of who we want to speak to as our protection is growing. And then I feel like there's a point that the protection is at a good place, at least for me. And then what I always say is I like to take it and I like to push it. I feel like I can allow my protection to be pushed to everywhere in this house. And because there's other people here. It's not just me. And I just don't want people who are unsuspecting. I don't want my cat. I want to protect everyone as best I can. And I just want to just kind of put it out there. That's my intention. Everyone in this house is protected.
When you're also accountable, when you are leading these situations for the people, that are there with you, you really kind of are.
It's there are times when it can backfire. To your point, Shannon, where like something will come through that we don't know what it is, and you can start seeing the panic in the comment section. And I've seen this on a few occasions, and it's really, sometimes we have to stop, just completely stop, or just try to help people because for whatever reason, and this is just not with the group that joins in with me, but everybody, a lot of people go to the negative side first of like what it is, what the response is. It could be a gravelly voice, and it's something that is perceived as dark, and that's not a rip on the people watching. I mean, there is a level of fear to a lot of people who are tuning in. I mean, there just is. There's just people who are like, I want this to work, but I also am worried about what might come through. And so there is a responsibility to try to keep things level-headed and not be like, you're right, it's Satan. Oh my God. You're trying to really,
it's demonic.
Yeah. I mean, clearly you're right. It's demonic. Anyone who's listening will die. That's not what we want to do. I mean, that's,
How many times have you heard across the spirit box, I'm the devil, or it is I'm Satan or
Oh,
it's
yeah.
Satan. It's just like, yeah, don't buy into that crap. They have a
Absolutely.
sense of humor too.
We've had that on the Facebook shows and a few times, but people, and this, I don't blame them. If you don't know, if you haven't been in the field, if your only interaction with spirit communication has been like watching one of us online doing it, and that's the case sometimes, they're going to be like, what has happened? What is this? Oh my God, what am I watching? This has turned into a nightmare. I just wanted to watch Facebook, and now I'm hearing the devil coming through the spirit box. And it's my responsibility to calm that and to try to remind people it's fine. And hopefully that people will be like, well, if Greg thinks it's fine, then we probably are okay. I mean, not that I'm anything special, but I'm the one leading it.
And know when to shut the session off when need be. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't know about you, Greg. I would imagine it would be the same for you. But when I get ready to do a private session, I do something pretty much what you explained. I use different words, but I ask my client to ground. I explain to them what they can expect, what I can do, what I cannot do. And just like you, I kind of start to feel that. But the other thing that I always tell them is there's a discernment in the energy, right? I can feel energy as soon as a spirit person is around me. I can discern their energy. I can discern, is it heavy? Is it light? How does it feel? And I have the choice whether I would like to communicate with that person or not. Now, that's not saying that I won't bring in heavier energy, because heavy or darker energy, as some people call it, is not demonic. Sometimes that person needs to be acknowledged. There's something that needs to be worked through with the sitter. And so it really is, for me, just a level of discernment.
Mm-hmm.
And I ask my client to trust me with that. But I also tell them, look, if this ever goes in a direction that you're not comfortable with, please let me know. We're going to switch directions. This is your time, your session. Nobody's ever switched directions on me, but I do give them that.
Right. Give them the option.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think that's a really good point, that there's been times that like someone will be like, can I have, Grandma Lily come through? And I'll be like, as soon as I read that, bam, she's right here. She is in my face, but she won't come through the spirit box. And it's really tough. I mean, to me, it's really tough to be able to say, yeah, she's right here, because I'm feeling energy going crazy at the moment.
Right.
And I am feeling stuff that hasn't happened in the last, the last 2 seconds before I read this. And here it is. It's almost overwhelming, but she's not coming through. And then sometimes I'll also get like, she's kind of difficult, isn't she? She's not someone who's going to respond because someone she doesn't know is saying, oh, hey, can you please talk to me? And she doesn't know who I am. She's difficult like that, right? And more often than not, they'll be like, yeah, that Grandma Lily is definitely like that. And to me, it's been a really good moment of learning, because I don't, when I started doing this, I didn't think I had gifts like that. I knew I had gifts, but I didn't think I don't think that we have, I didn't think I had those gifts. But even a couple weeks ago, when I'm doing the crossing over, I'm seeing a child walk towards the light. I've never seen a defined person. And I saw a child, and it's just like, now, the level of responsibility suddenly kind of gets higher.
Yeah.
Not only because it's a child, but because now you're starting to put like faces to people. At least I was, and I'm like, okay. And it was like I'm feel like I'm growing in front of the people watching me, and
opening up that pineal gland.
Yeah. It's really incredible. Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. You just said like that level of responsibility. Mm-hmm. And I believe anybody that does this work, any type of paranormal work, there is a huge responsibility. I mean, we carry a huge responsibility to the living, like, to our sitters, mm-hmm. as well as to spirit. And I remember when I first started doing this, it was fun. It was exciting. And then it was like, this is huge. Yeah. This is huge. This is so much more than just like fun. Right?
Well, the more you work with energy, the more that you're going to be receptive to. It's just, it's just amazing how that all opens up. And the more you focus on it, the more you put yourself out there, the more you become that beacon of light in the darkness, the more that's going to come to you. You know, you make yourself more perceptive by being aware and acknowledging, you know.
I mean, and to Annette's point here, I've had people come, you know, not Annette, but other people come to me and say, I want to do this. I want to do this myself. And my first instinct is, are you sure? And not because, and I'm not saying it from a metaphysical level or a mediumship level or anything like that. I'm coming more from the idea of protection, the idea of what you're letting in. And are you prepared for what you're doing? I mean, I'm doing this in my house. And I already, you know, I teach a paranormal class, and they're all like, well, I thought you said you shouldn't investigate your own house. I'm like, you're not. This isn't investigating my own house. But what this is I'm bringing in energy and I'm asking it to leave. And I sometimes have to really ask it to leave very, very forcefully. You know, I mean, and I mean, not to name drop, but John Wilkes Booth spent a week here. I couldn't get rid of him. And it's like, well, was it John Wilkes Booth?
He's just hanging out.
He's just hanging out. I mean, he marked me. He marked me that night, and he wouldn't talk about the murders, but he'd talk about himself. He'd talk about himself in his acting career. And
I was about to say Granbury,
yeah, absolutely. And so yeah, it's really pretty interesting. You know, when people are like, yeah, I'd really like to do this. And my first question, I'm not trying to be difficult, but it is like, are you sure? There's certain people that is like, I know you and I'm just looking out for you. And, you know, maybe do some work before you start going that level. Because I mean, the first question is, why are you doing it? What is the purpose? If the purpose is just like hoping you're getting a telephone to deceased relatives, I don't think that's a good enough reason.
No, I agree with you.
Well, Greg, you brought some clips with you, didn't you?
I sure did.
We would love to see that. You showed part of one earlier and I was like, oh, that's good.
Yeah. Well, why don't we start with this one? What time are we done? Are we going till midnight tonight? Is that what you said? No, I'm just kidding.
Midnight 30. Yeah.
Midnight 30. Oh,
Yeah.
I can't do that.
Let me get some NyQuil or DayQuil on that count, but no, 7 p.m. Central Time. I do have a private session with Nancy Orlin Weber, which I'm so excited about at 7:30 Central. So, I mean, y'all can continue on if you want, by all means, but I'll have to jump off the end.
I whatever y'all doing. I just don't want to. I don't want to take over completely.
Oh no, absolutely. You're a show host. I mean, you just got the gift of gab, and that's awesome. People listen.
Perfect.
Well, I don't think they listen; they just hear it. Yes, my family, friend, and even a friend has come through sometimes on Sunday night session as well. We just actually had one for Pamela, not this last Sunday, but the Sunday before, I think, if I'm not mistaken, reaching out, and all of a sudden you just hear through the spirit box, Pam, just like that. Wow. And it's just like, well, there you go. I mean, I'm really hesitant to be like, well, there you go. We got what you said. I mean, because it's not for me to say, but it's really fun to do that. First one, this is, I want to play this, and I'm going to say who we think it is. And I know that kind of defeats some of the purpose, but we don't have 24 hours for people to try to guess who these people are.
Name that tune.
Right, exactly. And I understand that that's leading as well. That can be leading. But this is one that I had this fixation with Abraham Lincoln, and he was he came through. No, she's not a stalker. She's cool. There was this documentary about the last photo of Lincoln, and it was taken on his deathbed, and it's hotly contested. It was on Discovery Plus. It might still be there. Check it out. It's really good. And so I have this picture, and I'm like, and this is where I did it beforehand, where I had my flashlight over here that you can't see what I'm talking about. And I just said, President Lincoln, I'd really like to be able to talk to you tonight. This is going to be in front of a lot of people. Would you come through for me tonight? And I held up my box and I said, I have a question. Can you come through here for me? And the flashlight turns on. And I'm like, cool. And so then I am like, can you turn off, please? And it turns off. And I said, I also like to reach out to Mary Todd Lincoln. May I ask her a question tonight? And the light goes back on. So we get in on this thing, and I put up the photo of Lincoln, and I said, President Lincoln, this is the photo that people believe is you. And I myself am pointing my computer screen like this. No one can see it because the photo's up. I said, President Lincoln, is this you? And all we get is this male voice that says, yes. And the comment section just starts going crazy. Like, oh my God, it's Lincoln, it's Lincoln, it's Lincoln. And I'm starting to get a little starstruck. So I'm like, well, okay, I'm going to try be professional about this. And I'm going to be like this. Yeah, right. Spanish is like, no, I know you. That's not possible. And so I'm just like, okay, I'm going to ask Mary Todd Lincoln a question. And the question was supposed to be, Mrs. Lincoln, when you were living, you used to speak to the dead. Now that you are dead, do you speak to the living? That's all it's going to be. I messed up this question. I messed it up. I was because people are just going like, oh my God. I mean, they were crazy and I was crazy. So you're going to hear it. There's a couple things I'd like to play it twice. But I wanted to share what this is. And I personally think this is pretty incredible.
You see it there, Shannon?
Mrs. Lincoln,
asking the blind girl.
Your entire life reaching out to spirit. Do you talk to other people? Do you talk to other people as a spirit, to other living people? Talk about what?
Is that Mary Todd? I don't know. But she was exasperated by my crappy question. Can I play it one more time? Because there's a male voice that comes through.
Mrs. Lincoln, you spent your entire life reaching out to spirit. Do you talk to other people? Do you talk to other people as a spirit, to other living people? Talk about what?
Now, what's interesting about that is that's a voice that we believe that says, I know. And that is the same voice that we attributed to Lincoln when he answered the question about the picture.
Wow.
So, can I say, my gosh, we got Lincoln and Mary Todd Lincoln? I can say that we had something that answered our question, somebody that answered our question that we were asking someone specifically about, if that makes sense.
Yes, but you set your intentions to connect with somebody and you got intelligent answers back, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So that is what I believe it is Mary Todd Lincoln. Someone said to me, well, did you, can you play it against any recordings of Lincoln? It's like, no, that's a little bit before recording. Let's see here.
It defeats the purpose.
It defeats the purpose. This one I'm going to play. Have either of you heard of the Morris Jamel Mansion?
That sounds very familiar.
If you've watched like the Holzer Files with Dave Schrader, that is that they had an episode there. Ghost Adventures had an episode there. I had the opportunity to go there for just walking through and stuff, just like a tour. And then I asked them, I said, I'm a paranormal investigator. And, they all just like, oh my God. But I'm like, I'm a paranormal investigator. Is it possible to do any sort of investigating here out of when there's not anyone around? And they're like, come with us. And they locked us into the octagon room and we were able to do stuff in there. And they're just like, if there's no one around, you can use your spirit box wherever you want. So a couple things. This was I was with my friend Robert, and Robert had a kind of a incident there. He was out of it, and I had to kind of bring him back. Not like wake up. It was just like hey Robert, and that kind of got him out of it, which is a whole big story in its own. Yes. Oh,
I was saying I'll be right back. I'm sorry. One moment. I'm listening from afar though.
No, from afar, and so he just kind of was not out of it, but it's just something that kind of affected him a little bit. And I was listening. I was doing a spirit box session outside, and I felt like I got nothing from that session at all. And then I went home, and I'm going through the recording, and I hear Robert. And I'm like, oh, his voice came, his name came through. And so I went back to hear it again. I went back a little too far, and I heard home. I'm like, well, wait. And so I went back even further, got a complete sentence. And this is what I'd like to play for you right now. I'm going to play it one more time.
Yes. Go home, Robert.
Go home, Robert.
What I always say.
We don't want you here. We do not want you here, Robert. Go home. So that is, I think that's pretty crazy. Do you want a couple more? What would you like?
Bring it.
I got plenty here. Let's see here. What other things can we dazzle you all with?
I had to get some cough drops.
One is over at well, why don't we do this one over at the soap factory? When we heard there was we were in the basement, we're shooting for a little web series, and afterwards we're hanging around the basement, and we're standing, we have a spirit box running because we're just, that's what we do, right? And there's something dark kind of runs between our legs. And when I say dark, I don't mean evil. I mean dark as in just there was something dark, like a shadow or something. So it felt like a dog, just like energetically felt like a dog. So I asked the question, is somebody's dog here? And this is the response that we get. Is somebody's dog here? I'll play it one more time. Is somebody's dog here?
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I think that's pretty cool. It's one of my favorites. Is somebody's dog here? Sorry, I didn't mean to play it again. Trying to remove it, actually.
I got you.
Spirit doesn't want it removed. It just loves it so much.
Dog, man.
So, and do you want to see another spirit real fast?
I don't know.
This is
kitty.
Can you purr into the mic for us? Okay, you're annoying us, Linus. That's my cat, Linus. He's kind of the co-host to Ghost Box Live because he's always around. So, and it's funny because when we're having nights where things aren't quite right, he's nowhere around.
Forget it.
I think, funniest response, and I don't know if I have it here. I play it on other things. Let's see. No, I don't. A couple of them. I've asked at a place called the Four Paws in St. Paul, Minnesota, which is a really nice restaurant. Is there anybody here with us? And the voice comes back, no. Just no one else here. Go away. We don't like you. It's just so great. Or I'll be like, the flashlight turned on. This was also at Four Paws. Who turned on the flashlight? And it's really fast. This woman's like, I don't know.
One of the funniest things I've had happen is Tiffany, that's on my team, Tiffany Chestnut. She's amazing. I'm like, nobody just doesn't like her. She's awesome. But, she is lesbian. And it is so funny, like how many times the spirits, the old school, OG spirits back there, like they'll say something, that lesbian or that woman, say really bad, weird stuff. And she's just like, here we go. Here, call me out. But it's so funny how that happens and the responses and stuff. It's just.
Well, that's interesting, Shannon, because I think that's why we got that response about Robert, because he's gay. And it never hit me until before I started playing it tonight. That's like, I wonder if that's the reason. Then you bring that up about Tiffany, which anyone named Tiffany Chestnut, my God, right? I mean, what a name. It's fantastic.
I love her. She's awesome.
Better than Greg Bakun, that's for sure. And it's just like, it's like we are dealing with people from different time periods, right? So it's really interesting how you get these responses that are rooted. I mean, people, sometimes you play back the responses and people are like, well, that's not, friendly for today's culture. They weren't either. I mean, we are literally delving into history here.
Well, and there's the thing, like when I read, I will censor myself a little bit when I'm doing like a Facebook Live, but I'm all in when I do a private session. And that's one of my disclaimers in the beginning is, you know what, the way I hear it is the way that I'm going, it's coming out. Like that's going to probably involve some cuss words and some, you know, some things that are probably deemed inappropriate, but the way, I mean, that's how we have to be authentic, right? So the way that we hear it is the way that I relay it.
It is interesting, and you know, not to take us too far off tangent, you know, one of the things that I do find also interesting, and that someone else had brought it up, is, you know, a lot of people like to use the Estes method now, and I personally do not. One of the things that I find for people who don't do it all that often, that they use it as an excuse to be vulgar. Like, you know, you could be running Spirit Box all night and you don't get anything bad. And as soon as someone's like, well, I'll do Estes, I'll have the headphones on, and I'll just relay what's being said. As soon as they put on the headphones, next thing you know, they're spouting out stuff that, you know, would make a sailor blush. And you're just like, what?
I was involved in an Estes method one time with someone, I'm not going to mention names, that was obviously playing on conversations we had before and trying to play demonic and all that kind of stuff and this and that, and your grandmother said this and that, and then pulling up on those stories. And I'm like, dude, I'm not stupid. Like
no, well, I mean,
just like, you know, especially when the headphones weren't even set all the way on the ear, you know what I mean? To hear the questions. And I hate when people aren't really authentic about this stuff, because I do take it seriously. I want to be authentic. I want to have validation, you know, and so I like to be now, like, know who I'm doing these Estes methods with before I can even begin to take them seriously. And it's disrespectful to spirit as well.
Totally. I mean, totally. And I've had mediums that I had worked with for a long time, and then they started to become under the spell of whoever wanted to talk with them. And they were picking up stuff that was being talked about just moments ago. And it's like, okay, whatever. And that's the thing. It's like, now, I mean, when I do events, and I'm sure, Shannon, you felt the same way when doing events, it's like, these aren't real investigations. So you're not going to be doing the same sort of level of, like, you know, scrutiny on certain stuff. If people are hearing stuff, I'm not going to stop them from hearing it, you know, or have their you know, notion of what it is, because that's what it's about. It's different than investigation, where you're just like, you want to get it right.
Absolutely.
But, you know, I had to call out somebody. We were just in where were we? We were in Nebraska, York, Nebraska, and some guy I was with, we're doing a unique sort of spirit box session that I cannot claim as my idea by any stretch of imagination. But we're there, and he's just like, oh my God, someone touched me. And I'm just like, and you could see the type of person this is, you know, just like that kind of investigator. And so you're like, I'm just like, well, does he have a scratch? You know, I knew where we're going here. And they were just like, nope. I'm like, okay. And then I look over, and he's just like, you know, he's just like this. And then a couple seconds later, he's like, oh, they touched me again. I'm like, okay, let's take a look. Oh yeah, there's a scratch. Yep. You got 3 going across. I mean, yep. I didn't see at all that you did this to yourself, but whatever. And also, by the way, folks, when something scratches you, it doesn't scratch from the outside, it scratches from the inside. So any sort of like puffery that looks like because someone is scratching you from the outside, as if that's an immediate sign that it is not anything touching you. And that's first and foremost.
Wow.
And yes, a lot of times, because I've heard it myself, yes, guys, you do have spirits that actually cuss you out and say bad and foul things. It's absolutely true. So we're not saying that doesn't happen. We're just talking about some people that kind of misuse the Estes method, I guess, in a way.
Oh yeah.
So Diana is saying, I would imagine some of them would get a kick out of making you say crazy stuff.
Oh yes. Oh, is this just Facebook user on my end? Okay.
Because, gotcha. I mean, if I were a spirit, I've run across some characters. I really have, but it's all been, you know, what I realize as I'm doing the reading is that what's coming out is their personality while they were here in the flesh. And that's what makes it so authentic. So it just hits home with people, because that's exactly how they would be. I've had them call me ridiculous.
Oh, absolutely. No, I mean, I always say, if Uncle Frank was a jerk in real life, when he dies, he doesn't immediately sprout wings and ascends into heaven. He's still going to be a jerk, But I mean, that's just how it is. And that's the thing. Like when you get so many people who call you in for a private case and like, yeah, we got a demon here. It's like, then you start learning about who was there before. It's like, no, the person here has not crossed over and they don't like what you're doing here. They don't like what you're doing to the house. They don't like, and they're making it difficult. That's all it is. We know that 99% of cases that are called into paranormal investigators are not demonic. It's just, I mean, even
No.
I think I'm being generous by saying that. It's really probably 100%.
A lot of people watch these shows, like certain shows where everything's a demon, and especially when you have people with mental illness. And we've talked about this before, Jen, about they're so quick to think that they have a demon attached to them.
Yes.
And then that makes it even worse for them. So much worse. They literally start thinking they have a demonic possession or attachment, and it really can spiral down into a lot of times suicide. I've seen and I've heard of it happening. It's really scary and sad. That's all we've got to be, really, people as influencers and investigators, and then when we lead sessions and explaining to people, I think we have kind of a responsibility, since this is what we do, to kind of get that word out, because people are literally taking their own lives or hurting themselves or living in this just like crazy psychotic world because they think stuff like that. And then, we should reach out and help them when we can.
And I've been running into I don't do private cases anymore because there's so much liability attached to that now. But when I do have people reaching out, normally friends reaching out, like, I have this person, could you listen to their story? And so far, every one of them has been your home life is not very good, and it's not spirit. It's what's going on with everything else. And
PK manifestation.
Yeah. And we'll ask them point blank. You can tell when they are lying. Like, do you use any sort of drugs of any kind beyond prescription drugs? That's part of the basic, basic screening process of a paranormal investigator. Even like, have you been to jail? I mean, there's stuff you got to protect yourself as well. And, when it's like the people who haven't used are the ones like, nope, I haven't used. And the ones who have are often, not always, but often like, why would you ask that? What does that have any bearing on anything that's going on here? Well, there's a lot of reasons.
Not to be mean, and it's not me calling you out. It's just very important if we're going to have this conversation that I need to know these things.
Absolutely.
For my liability, for my safety, and for yours as well. And everybody here that's with me, that's here to help you. So, yeah.
Absolutely. And it's like, and I always say, and it's true, these are the same questions we ask everybody. We don't see someone and have any sort of preconceived idea of what they are and say, okay, well, let's ask questionnaire B. It's like, no, everyone gets the same questions and we just go from there. And that's just as simple as that. And I think a lot of people find that, not a lot, but some find that intrusive. And it's like, we understand, but you got to understand too, we have to really be right about a lot of things before we can engage in
right.
Absolutely. So, Greg, I have a question for you.
Yes.
Have you ever done a session on an unsolved case?
No, I really haven't. Because honestly, and this might sound like a complete backtrack of everything we just talked about, I worry about the responsibility that bears.
Yeah, absolutely. Which, oh gosh, don't get me off on a tangent. I was asking because there's been, we just had this big thing happen in Idaho, right? And I have seen so many TikToks and so many videos of mediums, spirit boxes. And to me, I have issues with that. But
yes.
I guess my question was, if you had ever been invited by a family, to work on a case like that.
I have. Okay. And there's a couple things that I haven't really done a whole lot with. One is that because once again, it's just, to me, it feels like that. And it's not that I doubt what comes through the box, but I also worry about pinning too many people's hopes on something absolutely. That we cannot necessarily agree on. I mean, everyone remembers possibly Jacob Wetterling, who was abducted in Minnesota. That was a national case back in 1989. And I remember that someone had asked me, do you have any ideas where he is? Just as a psychic exercise. And I had this idea of him being tied up in the basement and everything else. But we eventually found out and got the story about what happened to him. And it's pretty clear in my mind that whatever I had in my mind did not match what happened to that poor boy, because it didn't sound like he didn't actually live all that much longer after he was abducted. So that's why, like, my skill set might be much, much, much better now, but it's too much riding on it for me to want to put out anything.
No, I agree. And that's one of the things that I always talk about, is being very, very selective on cases that I work for or that I work with, and only being invited in by family. And then laying out those expectations. Look, here's what I can do. Here's what I can't do. I can't solve this, but we may be able to find some leads. And Annette, you're absolutely right about having respect for the families. Watching some of the things on some of these open cases, I can't even stomach them. And my heart starts racing, and I get so upset with the paranormal community for doing this, for stepping in, for creating false leads, for creating innocent people's lives to be, oh my gosh, that's a whole thing for me. But that's not what I really was talking about. I really was just asking if you had been invited into one. Absolutely, Pamela.
And that's the thing too, is the level of unwavering, like, belief in what they're saying.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that actually, I mean, first of all, I mean, I guess in a sense, it's like, if you're going to put it out there, you might as well really be like, pushing it and being like, this is what it is. But at the same time, it's like, you're looking at, you're basically saying that there is no other possibilities beyond what you're saying. And I think that that's dangerous. That's
very dangerous. That's very dangerous.
Yeah. And I don't go and try to reach out to native energies either, because I don't understand them and I'm not versed in it. And once again, there's a respect level that just makes it so I cannot just be like, all right, I'm going to go to a sacred area and let's see what happens. I can't do that.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
Well, Greg, we're going to definitely have you back on, because we could talk forever, especially on a night when I don't have anything going. We could just set it up for a 2-3 hour show.
I would love to set it up.
Yes. And I want to take a second though. I'm going to add a post into the chat feed. Our sister Beth Allen, she was supposed to do our show a few weeks ago, a couple weeks in a row, and she's been very sick. Well, she's been very, very sick, and now the hospital 3 times. And now, as soon as she got out the last time, her son went in, and her son and her are the sole providers for their household. It's a GoFundMe link, $5, $10, anything you can do. If anybody deserving, it's Beth. She does for so many people. She's helped so many people. She's found missing people. She sacrifices herself for other people. She's amazing. Well, and if you can't, just share it out, because we want to try to get it where she can get her rent paid and get her medication that she needs, because she's been sick for a while, and it's really caught up to her. She was doing really good until she got sick. So I added it. Did it show up in the comments?
It did.
Yes.
Okay, awesome. And again, I would really appreciate it, even if you just share it out. And then, matter of fact, next week, Jen and I were talking about doing a little fundraiser where we get a few mediums together and doing like a $10 or $15 donation to have a few cards spread or something like that. Maybe we can extend that show out to 2 hours as well. And all the proceeds will go directly to, for Beth. So, and we'll get that a little more organized. We'll work on it tomorrow, I think. What do you think, Jen?
Thought right now.
Yeah, we're going to do something. I'm going to say we're going to do something, but we got to put it all together, because, I definitely want to see what we can do to help her out, because she would do it for us. So,
Absolutely.
All right. Well,
it was
Greg.
so good to have you on, Greg.
Yes, thank you.
Appreciate it.
Yes.
Thank you.
Interesting.
These things got a punch. These Vicks,
thank
they
you,
vocal. Sorry, that cough drop is intense. I'm been over here on fire. But
thank you, Rich, and thank you, Annette.
Yes, thank you everyone who came on. Yes, Rich, you did, and I appreciate that. And thank you everyone that came on and participated, and it's really appreciated. And hey, if you wouldn't mind going over to that YouTube page, we got like 90 subscribers, which isn't a big deal, but when you have more subscribers, even though we're mostly Facebook, founded, it kind of helps with getting, better guests and stuff like that as well. Cause when they go to look, so it's not a big deal, but if you can go on that YouTube page, it's, the Calling the Forgotten Files, like and subscribe, get those numbers up a little bit.
Christ.
I know. I was like,
Wow. At least do it when I'm not on the screen.
I mean, when life gives you lemons, you get Greg and Jameson, I guess.
No kidding. Wow.
No, you were wonderful, but
oh wow.
Because we're really going to be digging like off, the Facebook realm and actually into a lot of, really interesting people that are in, the detective work and stuff like that. And to be able to do that, we can just show that we have a little bit of a following. It's not a big deal, but you knows what I'm talking about. I'm sick, guys. I have the flu and I'm really dizzy right now. I'm trying.
February 18th on Ghost Box Radio just opened up. If anyone wants to guest on it. No, I'm just kidding.
No, really, guys. Go ahead, Jen.
We are going to put something together next week, but I guess we're not going to announce it because we don't even really know what it is yet, right? I mean,
it'll be something though.
Kind of.
It's going to be great. And you're going to love it.
Thank you so much for coming on, Greg.
Thank you.
It's always good to talk to you.
Absolutely.
Always fun.
And we'll be back every Thursday at 6 p.m. Central. Sometimes we'll have shows at 7 p.m., but we will definitely put it on the flyer and in the feed. Just kind of take a glance at that. It's just some people aren't able to do the, because the time zones, the 6 Central. So, but thank you again, everyone. And thank you, Rich. And thank you, everybody. Thank you, Greg. Thank you, Jen.
Good night.
And have a good night.
Wow.
Hold on. I got to do that little thing again. I'm learning how to do all this production stuff. So yeah, here we go. Enjoy.